and I'm your host, Dr. Matthew Richardson, and welcome to another day of CosmoQuest Astro Office Hours. The general plan for today is just for me to get through some work. I really wanted to do a problem, but I felt this was probably a little bit more needed. So let me go ahead and first verify that I'm streaming. Give me a quick second. Let's see. Okay. All right. Open up Chrome. Use the spell Chrome correctly. There we go. Navigate over to Switch.
I'm going to turn off some of these apps here on my computer to kind of free up some of the resources. All right. What do we have? What do we have? All right. I am live. But as usual, no chat for me. Let's reboot Chrome. That typically solves the problem. All right. I should be able to now access the chat and see who's all here. Wrong option. Let's see. Pop out chat. There we go. I can minimize this. All right. Hey, Guido. Hey, Keeper of Maps. Hey, Electrical Skateboard. Hey, K-Borut. Hey, Michael T. Mayer. And hey, Tchaikovsky. Tchaikovsky? Yeah. Welcome to today's stream, guys. And Uncle Bill Druin. What's up? But you know what? Actually, while I'm doing work, because Uncle Bill Druin did request a topic. I'm trying to recall it. I think it was something related to redshifts. Is that right? So maybe we can talk a little bit about redshifts while I work. I mean, I would love to do a problem so that we can actually see it in action. We probably can just talk about it a little bit briefly, and I'll try to also do work at the same time, and maybe try to explain what I'm doing. But yeah, redshifts. So I'm realizing this is going to be difficult, but when I think of redshifts, what comes to mind would be you can get a redshift as well as a blue shift whenever you're having for Doppler effects. So with Doppler effects, you typically would have an observer, and you'd have some source of light. And if there's relative motion between the observer and this source of light, along the line of sight between these two objects, that is the observer and the source of light, you can have either a blue shift of the light from the source to the observer, or you can have a red shift of light from the source to the observer. And it ultimately depends on whether or not the observer and the source of light are coming towards each other or moving away. So in the instance where they're moving away from each other, um, along that line of sight between the two, there's going to be a redshift. So that's one particular instance of when I could think of a redshift occurring. So what I'm kind of doing right here, guys, is I'm making up a new. So I'm going to skip back and forth actually. What I'm doing right now with this C++ program is I'm making a new function, and the whole objective of this function is to be able to sort uh, a special type of data container that I've made. This data container holds information that's important to the image users table in CosmoQuest's database. All right, so that's that. The second type of redshift that I can think of is the type of redshift that you'd get from cosmological redshift, which is related more so to the expansion of the universe. The physical stretching, I guess, of space-time. And that's heavily, I think that's more closely related to like Hubble's law. Let me quickly check the chat because I haven't done that just quite yet. It was a multi-part question beginning with how they are calculated and expressed. Okay, as to how they are calculated, I would have to write that stuff out, and I really want to focus on making some progress with what I'm doing right now. But I'll definitely like talk about it with you guys. But you can, in general, you can derive these equations as long as you set up the right scenario. Like with Doppler shift, you'd have to consider an observer and a source of light and their motion relative to one another to be able to try to calculate the change in frequency of light coming from the source to the observer. And you can definitely do that you can calculate all of this, of course, using relativity. Let's see. But yeah, so that was one type of redshift from the Doppler effect. The other type of redshift would be from like cosmological redshift, which is related to Hubble's law. And in general, just things moving apart in space because space-time is stretching. No problem, Guido. Hey, Adam. I'm kind of jumping back and forth between talking about redshift, the different types of redshifts, and the work that I'm currently doing here that you guys can actually physically see. I think you guys should be able to see it, yes. I think the font's big enough for you to see it. But then there's I think there's one more type of redshift that comes to mind, and that is the redshift related to gravitational redshift, right? So if you have, for example, light passing through a region where it doesn't matter exactly how immense the gravitational potential is in this region, as long as there's one there. There essentially would be a gravitational redshift or blue shift, depending on whether the light's going into this region in which the gravitational potential exists or leaving that region. And it really doesn't matter exactly how strong the potential is, because in theory it'll still occur. But I mean, if the mass that's producing the gravitational potential is really small, the effect would be negligible to almost non-existent. I mean, But I think in general, though, those are the three types of redshifts that come to mind. All right, jumping back to this. So again, I'm trying to make a new class that will allow me to sort a special type of data container that I've created, in which the data container is used to store information that's important to the image users table in CosmoQuest's database. That would be great. That would be great, Guido, because I am definitely hungry right now. And after this stream, I plan on getting something to eat. Let's see. What is wrong with me right now? I know what I want to do, but I'm having difficulty just doing it. All right. That's good. That's good. So I've actually taken another sorting class that I've defined and declared, and I'm just making modifications to it because it pretty much has all the same functions or the same functionality I need for what I'm currently trying to do. Let's see, image users.h, that's good. Sort image users. All right. This can just become image users. Public. Of course, we have to define our constructor. Sort image users. It will again need an image users vector. That stays the same. I'm going to make this go by faster. Let's do this. Let's do a global change. So I think it's query replace. There we go. And so what I can do here, keeper of maps. Way back when I took, yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly what keeper of maps is saying. So what you do is basically what keeper of maps is saying is that you'd have a reference spectrum of a particular type of substance. In this case, the substance was, I think he said helium, right? And so of course you can do this in the lab. You can get the spectrum for the helium spectrum, and then if you have like a star, for example, and of course it's shining light, and stars have helium within them. Helium neon light, got it. Helium neon? Really? Oh man. My chemistry is a little rusty here, guys. I've always wondered exactly. Now, I haven't always wondered. At one point, I knew this. But if I'm not mistaken, neon is just like, like it's a noble gas, right? So how does the or the gas is composed of helium and neon? Gotcha, never mind. It's not like they're combined or anything to make the little red glow lights. Right. But yeah, you take a reference spectrum and then you look at the same type of light coming from a star. And of course, if the spectrum is shifted, as long as you know how much is shifted by, you can determine exactly how fast the star is either receding or coming towards you, which is pretty cool actually. And sorry, I'm just sorry, image. Is that right? Image users. It's a capital. I'm really realizing trying to think about two things at once is not it's not a simple thing to do. And I had started something actually, a query replace, right? So I wanna replace images or every instance of images with image users. I need to be careful with this. Let's see. Yep, that's right. But yeah, I remember TAing a course at one point in time. So yeah, I'm trying to multitask today. I'm trying to jump back and forth between programming and then discussing physics/astronomy. And I feel like I'm dying right now with with the discussion of the physics and astronomy portion. But yeah, I remember us doing a similar experiment for one of the classes, the introduction to astronomy lab class that I TA'd. Let's see. This I believe is good. I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna go over here to this. That needs to change to image users. Of course, I need to update my makefile. But yeah, in that situation, the type of redshift that you'd be talking about is a Doppler redshift. And the thing about it is that, am I a physics student? I was at one point. But I guess in some ways I am still a physics student. But but yeah, the thing about it is that with stars, for example, if you're looking at like at a star in it well, you're looking at a star within our own galaxy. The star can either be moving towards us or away from us. But in general, if you're outside of the nucleus of our galaxy, stars have kind of a their orbital velocity around the center of our galaxy. I think as you begin to move in towards the center of our galaxy, stars can begin to have more random motions. I don't really know exactly out to which point they begin to have more or less kind of circular motion around the center. I'd have to look that up. Let's see. But yeah, I think in that situation, exactly what Uncle Bill has stated here. Well, the thing about it is that humans are really good at pattern recognition, right? So if I show you two patterns, like on a graph, but the patterns, if you're looking at the range along, like for example, in this case, the range along the x-axis, and you notice that one pattern is shifted by some constant x value, right? You'd be curious, like, that's interesting. And then, of course, you'd want to know the reason why it shifted. Well, in the case of like in what you're saying here with spectra, um, the shift is due to the fact that there's relative motion between you and the source of light. The interesting thing about it is that the students that I TA'd, they didn't really have much. They didn't have, well, of course, the examples we gave them weren't too bad, but or the problems we had them work to weren't too bad, but they were pretty good with being able to determine what the element was. So we'd give them some spectra, and then we'd give them a bunch of different reference spectra, in which we know what the elemental composition is, and then we'd ask them to match. So they did pretty well with doing that. All right, I was doing something here. My plan was to update the makefile for this new class that I'm writing, and it was a sort. Let's see, sort images. Yeah, this one's going to be. It's going to be sort image users. But yeah, hey, I don't know if Schrodinger King is still here, but to fully answer your question, I've graduated, so I am not looking back, especially not looking back to go back into undergrad. So I have a PhD in physics. My background is particularly in high energy astroparticle physics, where my research was the study of ultra high energy cosmic rays, which are typically charged particles that originate in space that have energies that are in excess of 10 to the 18 eV. I would, if you're more, if you know it in, if you're better off in like other units of energy, I could do the conversion, but I typically just remember things in terms of EV whenever I'm thinking about cosmic rays. But the conversion isn't that bad. That sounds like something cool to do, Keeper of Maps. Building your very own spectroscope. Um, let's see, sort image users. That's good. So I can now make the same modifications here. So let's do a query replace. We want to do this. That with this. Whoa! Quantum computing. That's some heavy stuff, man. Much success to you and your endeavors after you graduate. Let's see. Why didn't that work? Query replace. Certain images. There we go. Alright. Those go, that goes. I think all of these can be changed. Alright. Yeah, Adam's very right there. Me myself, I've never actually used a spectroscope, but the two things that I do know is that they have to be very stable on the telescope, and to reduce thermal noise, you have to be able to keep them really cool. But nevertheless, though, that would sound like a pretty cool thing to build, though. What is this? I think I could do the same thing now to images. All right. So now I need to, of course, let's open up another tab. Let's modify this one. Sorry for being so quiet, guys. Let's see. Yeah, let me get back to chat now. Let's see. So we've got the code perfect. Oh, oh, that's a good one. That's a good question. How cold do you have to keep a spectroscope for it to be efficient? I would assume the efficiency, of course, is dependent upon the temperature of the actual spectroscope. And if I'm not mistaken, if it's as cold as it's what's needed to keep a spectroscope working properly in Canada, I don't think I want to visit Canada. But then again, I don't exactly know how cold you need it to be. Let's see. I was here. I want to describe. This shouldn't give away any information. I don't think it does. All right, yeah, this is very general information, nothing specific. Oh, cool. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to take a moment to actually, because I saw the link earlier, but now this is your project. I'm going to definitely check this out now. So I'm gonna take a moment to look at this. Oh wait. Oh, this is just the. As I recall, I did my project during the winter, but I think it's more local thermal effects you're interested in. So yeah. Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying. This actually might be something fun for me to do with my kids. Um, okay, let's go back to this. So again, right now, guys, I'm just building this new class to be able to sort a special data container I made. And the data container holds all the information you're seeing within the terminal window at the bottom of the screen. And so I want to be able to sort a vector of these. I want to be able to sort the data container based off of any one of these different fields that you're seeing, like ID or user ID or image ID. Let's see, compare by application ID is there, created at is there, details. There is no done, so this can go away. There's no file location, that can go. It's not image set ID, but it's image ID, so I can keep that. There's no name. There's a pre-mark, there's no priority. No sun angle. Updated it is the same. Okay, so what am I missing? There is no user ID, which should be at the end. Yeah, back to coding. But yeah, I remember doing experiments in both undergrad and grad school, and I miss those days. Doing those experiments was like it was pretty fun. What I do now is also very fun, but you know, results are truly expected for what I do. I believe this is C plus 11. C plus plus 11. I haven't made any sort of updates to it. Let's see. Compare by updated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm missing two fields. Details, that's there. Score, that's one of them. I'll take this. Score. And lastly, I think it's the submit time. All right. Go back over here now to the actual source code and make modifications. I made this font extremely large, didn't I? Let's see, let's make that a little bit smaller. Let's see, sort image users. That looks. Yeah, that's what I'm currently making. So all of these are my custom comparisons. Counting integers, even math I can follow. You know the one thing that really scares me actually is, and I mean I don't imagine this ever happening, but if it ever does, is like one day my one of my children brings me their homework assignment and says, "Can you help me?" And I look at it and I have no idea what to do. And I only bring this up because it's fun for us to sit here and talk about, you know, all the various, projects that we've done in the past. But as we move on to the future, I would imagine as like technology begins to, improve, our ability for our children to be able to understand how to use that technology will need to also improve. Or not our ability, our children's ability. Um, and I'm even pretty sure like some of the stuff that I used to learn like back in elementary school, probably like in the fifth grade, is probably being taught to students now, like in the third grade or something, or probably even second or first one. I don't know about first grade, but like second grade or something. You ever seen that TV show? Are you smarter than the fifth grader? Fifth grader, and like all the questions they ask. I can imagine like as long as I'm one page ahead of them. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I can imagine like the type of questions that'll be asked of fifth graders like 100 years from now might be like algebra questions, calculus questions, what we now consider advanced physics. Hmm. Indeed. Definitely agree with you there, Keeper of Maps. I want to keep this. Create it. I want to keep. Details I want to keep. I can remove this one. I can remove this one. Oh wait. I help my nieces with math homework all the time, and I have no idea what to do because I don't know what methods. Ah, yes. I completely understand you there. Agreed. Agreed. I remember one test that I did in it was in undergrad and it was calculus 1. And the entire test was basically solving derivatives. That's all we had to do. But we had to use the definition of a derivative to solve the problems. We weren't allowed to use the actual, like the the more faster methods of solving derivatives. In other words, we had to use like limits and stuff like that to solve the derivatives. And I used the quicker method. I got every single problem right, but I failed the exam. I was heated. I was so upset. I went to the instructor and was like, "What is this?" And he looked at me for a second and it was like, "Yeah, you got everything right, but you didn't do it the right way." So I completely understand where you're coming from, Schrodinger's king. Especially even with my kids, right? I mean, when they come to me and they're like adding and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, we don't have to add all these numbers together. We can like group these numbers together and these numbers together, do a little bit of multiplication, and we're done, right? Yeah. But most of those just punching in the phone. Oh man. But you can't let your kids see that though. You can't let your kids see that. If your kid sees you're punching like stuff in the phone to get the answer, I mean that's problematic. Yeah. Wow. Seriously? I'm looking at. I ordered a pound of catfish one time and was told it was only in 8, 12, and 16 ounces. Okay, actually, you have to remind me now. Um, which one of those actually corresponds to a pound? I think is it the 16? Yes, please forgive my ignorance on this. I'm not highly familiar with like measurements of ounces. I think it's 16. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I think 1 pound is equivalent to 16 ounces. And does McDonald using picture only? Well, yeah, the pictures on the I think the pictures on the keyboard of the register are just simply there for being able to make things go faster for the person working the register. I wonder if it's still required for the employees, like for example at McDonald's, to like do like a test to indicate that they can do like basic math in the event the register's down or something like that. Oh man, keeper of maps. I'm with you. That actually the thing about it is this though. I feel like once you've learned a more advanced way of doing it, and the advanced solution is the easiest, of course use it. Of course use it. It's kind of like when I was in undergrad. To be able to solve for the motion of an object, we started off by using what was that? Forces, Newton's laws, right? And then setting up the equations that way, or solving for the equations of motion that way. But then when I found out about like the Lagrangian and Hamiltonian, I was like, I'm done doing it that other way. This is much easier. So yeah, thank you. It is 16. All right, perfect, perfect, guys. Thanks. But yeah, honestly, when I run into somebody and yeah, I mean, yeah, I would even hope for myself if someone runs into me, right? But if I run into somebody and they happen to not know something, I mean, I don't want to. I wouldn't be nasty about it. I would let them know, like, oh, it's just this, and hope that they actually listen and remember that way, for future encounters. Like for example, when you ask for a pound of catfish, I probably would have told the person, oh, it's the one that's 16 ounces. That's the pound, right? And hope that they would remember that. Wait a second. Is it actually 13 at base 13? I remember you guys taught me this. Let's see. You take the number and you would divide it by the base, In this case, 16 divided by 13 is going to be, well, it goes into it one time. And then you kind of tack on the remainder. So yeah, 13. All right. And like I said, guys, the only time I can ever remember in my formal education of ever talking about different bases was like when I took this computing class, basic computing class in undergrad. And I think we only like covered it like for one class and then never talked about it again. See, whenever I go to that's actually a good topic right there, actually, because the taxes, that is, the sales tax rate. Whenever I go to like the store and shop, I typically take what is that? I multiply the, and I don't know what the correct terminology is, but I multiply, I guess, the base amount. I multiply it by 1.1. Because I think our sales tax is somewhere around 10%. It might actually be like 9.5%, but I'm typically pretty close when I just do that. Thank you for keeping me on track. Yes, I need to sort things. And right now I'm just kind of setting up those custom comparison functions. So let's see, compare by image. This would be ID. I swear to you guys, whenever I'm not like on stream and I'm doing this stuff, it's like I can blaze through it. But right now I'm enjoying the conversation. Let's see, compare by the name is no longer needed. Pre-marked is priority is now gone, so is sun angle. And then the get field I will need to also modify later, but let's first fill in the blanks. So application ID is good, created edit is good, details ID, that stuff is good, but image ID is good. Pre-marked. That's good. The one I'm missing, of course, is going to be score and submit time. So to make this easy, let's just copy and paste twice and make the correct modifications. So this is going to be score. Actually, let's do this. This is going to be submit time. And I think there was one last one, which was the user ID after update. Let's see. User ID. All right. And I think that should be it for that. Now I have to make sure that all the fields, or this function is correct. Created at details. Done goes away, and so does file location. This is now going to be image ID. Name. Has anyone here ever thought about teaching? I said, has anyone here ever thought about teaching? Application ID created at details ID, image ID, and I think it was here. Oh wait, no, pre-marked. Yeah, I tutored for a little bit, but I've always wondered if, like, one day after, I don't know. I wouldn't say I would no longer want to be able to do research, but like once I've gotten much older, or not even much older, but eventually I would like to be able to do some teaching. I like research, but I would like to teach as well. I'm not teaching. So in other words, once you graduate, all you want to do is research, which is cool. Well, that's pretty cool, Keeper of Maps. Like after you retire. So yeah, and the thing about it was I was questioning that too, right? I was always wondering whether or not, would I want to pick up a position where I can do both teaching and research? And I mean, ideally, that's what I would want to do because I like to teach. But yeah, I mean, I think teaching would be really cool, actually. The only thing I didn't like, I mean, and I'm using my experience when I was a TA to kind of say what I'm saying now. The only thing I didn't like when I TA'd a course was when it was clear that someone was cheating. That's the only thing I didn't like. And the way in which we were, trained to TA the courses, there was no need to cheat. Let's see. Score. I think I would really love to teach only, as long as the students did not cheat. I would be thrilled to teach. Sure, grading papers at times can be, a little tedious, but it kind of takes the joy out of teaching when, you know, you're looking at the students' work and it's clear, like, but then again, I don't think you'd have to run into. And have the grad students do your research for you. Oh man. Oh wow, that is really cool, Keeper of Maps. I've had conversations with my postdoc mentor about what I would like to do after CosmoQuest. And I mean, I would like to be able to have a position where I could do both research and teach. When you say environmental practices keeper of maps, what sort of practices are you talking about? I mean, I would assume like I guess in the survey you'd probably ask like, do you recycle and stuff like that. That wasn't what I was doing. I moved something. Details. ID, image ID, pre-marked. I have 2 pre-marks. That's why, because I should have a score here. And a submit time. Update at and a user ID. Larry, that sounds interesting. That's actually quite interesting, keeper of maps. I definitely do like citizen science. Welcome back, Uncle Bill Jordan. Oh, you have to share the game. Shonen just King, you have to share the game. Do you have a link to it, or is it available publicly? Oh, no problem, keeper of maps. Thank you for the link. I'm going to go ahead and click on it now. That way, it's on my computer. But yeah, games are definitely a great way of being able to communicate to, I would say, a younger audience, but almost all audiences, right, of all ages. Well, not all audiences, but all ages. As long as it's easy enough to play, and the concepts aren't too hard to grasp. Yeah, the link states Statistics Canada. It's at the very upper like left-hand corner. Radon awareness. You know what? At one point in time, I heard about radon. For some good reason, right now, I just can't remember why is it bad. Isn't radon one of those noble gases? What does it do to the human body? I was thinking the exact same thing, Adam. You have to make this game public, Shoulder King. Radon. I'm gonna look this up really quick. Radon. Oh, that's why it's bad because it's radioactive. So, okay, now I have some more questions. So it's clear now that, given what you're saying and given what I just read, well, given what I know about physics, every single element, do I want to say element? Yes, I want to say element actually. So every single element, of course, has a stable form. And apparently, I guess the form that's most natural is not stable. Mostly in places with granite. Did you just say quantum chess? Google quantum chess. I'm definitely going to look into two things now. One, I'm going to look into this whole radon situation, and two, I definitely want to check out this. It's a chess game, if I'm understanding this correctly. And I love chess, so. But honestly, as I look through all these papers you've produced, I've never thought about, well, I don't want to say never, but I haven't thought about many of these things actually. This is pretty cool. I mean, the only thing I could think about when it comes to environmental safety, at least my role in it, is like, for example, when I do like an oil change in my car, I make sure I dispose of the oil properly. If I can, recycle things properly. But man, this is cool. So yeah, Uncle Bill Jordan, I'm assuming you're talking about so apparently this particular isotope of radon is probably the most abundant compared to other isotopes. Wow. Radon has no stable isotope? Wait a second. Okay, guys, you're making me now think back to that one time of nuclear physics. In order for you to have a stable isotope, you have to have, I guess, like the right. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say ratio, maybe combination of what is that? Protons to neutrons. And so, are you saying that there's no neutron number for radon, or no number of neutrons for radon that would make it stable? I know there's a table that shows like the trend for like stable isotopes for each type of atom. Let's see. What is it called? Let's just put element stability plot for graph. Here we go. So so based off of this graph I'm seeing, and radon has a proton number of what? Let's see, radon. Number of protons. 86. I was definitely so wrong. So yeah, radon is a noble gas. All right, that was correct what I said earlier. I thought I got that wrong. All right, so it has 86 protons. That's its atomic number. So if I go back to this plot, and I'm reading this correctly, 86, it does have a stable form. The only problem is that it looks like, so I'm looking at this plot here. In fact, I mean the stream is really actually over now, but I mean, I'm enjoying talking about this. So let me do this. I'm going to share what I'm seeing here. Where is it? All right. Whoa. That's not what I wanted. Let's increase this. Better yet, let's do this. So this plot that I'm looking at here, I mean, let's see. So radon, and I don't think you can see my cursor, but basically radon would exist somewhere along the y-axis. That is, radon would exist somewhere between 80 and 90, and it could, in theory, have a stable element, but it looks like the actual particles that have been found in nature doesn't agree there. So I see what you mean by there is no stable form of radon. Oh, but wait a second. Is this line just simply, or am I reading this wrong? The band of stability. Is this, are these points representative of particles that are actually found in nature, or that line might just actually be where the number of neutrons and the number of atomic, or the number of protons are the same. I just quickly pulled this up and I was trying to see exactly would there be a stable form. It was a very, very long time ago when I ran across this plot. Gotta go back to that scene. So yeah, I mean, I vaguely remember that there's a plot out there that shows where stable isotopes exist. But then the question is, do they actually occur naturally, or do they occur at all? Even by Thanks, Keeper of Maps. That's actually some pretty good information on radon itself. It's cool. All right. Oh, this chart is actually much, much easier to read now. All right. Yeah, Keeper Maps. I was thinking the same thing. That is a really cool chart. Test my basement. All right. Is this something I can just buy somewhere to do the test? Or would someone have to come and like use special equipment to test for it? I would imagine. I mean, what sort of particles is being emitted by the radon? I would imagine that a Geiger counter should be able to work, right? A Geiger counter would not work. Yeah, I don't have a basement, so I'm assuming I don't have to worry about this. Ah, good point. Man, guys, I've loved the conversation here. Thank you. Um, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream now, but hopefully, I'm really hoping that this upcoming Friday I can do something that's not what I'm currently doing. But guys, thank you for joining. I'm definitely gonna check out that chess game. And but definitely after this conversation, I'm more concerned about walking into houses with basements now. So thanks, Keeper of Maps. No, I'm just playing, just joking around. All right, guys. I'll be back on this Friday, 12 Central. I will really push to actually like be working through a problem versus coding. So thanks for joining, guys. No. Thank you for the distraction. Because honestly, what I'm doing right now I can do with no problem. But like I've always said in the past, I love these streams, being able to talk with you guys. Alright. I'm gonna stop talking now and get back to work. So thanks again, guys. I'll see you on Friday, 12 p.m. Central. Alright, guys. Bye.